What if rebuilding lost muscle wasn't about lifting heavier weights or eating more protein shakes, but came down to just one daily food supported by neuroscience? Most people think muscle loss is just a normal part of aging, that it's inevitable after 60, especially if you're not hitting the gym. But here's what's really going on inside your body, and it has much more to do with your brain and hormones than you might think. Muscle loss, or sarcopenia, doesn't just make you weaker, it affects your balance, your metabolism, your blood sugar control, and even your brain health. Yes, muscle is metabolically active tissue. It acts like a glucose sink, pulling sugar out of the bloodstream, reducing insulin resistance, and even stabilizing your energy and mood. But here's the catch. Most muscle loss starts in the neuromuscular connection, not in the muscle itself. When the brain signals to your muscles weaken, your body stops prioritizing muscle maintenance. And what shuts that signal down fastest? Chronic inflammation, insulin resistance, high cortisol, poor sleep, and low intake of very specific nutrients the nervous system needs to fire properly. So, while you may be eating healthy, doing your walks, or even lifting weights, if you're not addressing this upstream neurological trigger, your muscle health may still decline. The good news? There is one food, rooted in both neuroscience and functional nutrition, that can help reverse this downward spiral. It's something you can eat daily, it's delicious, and it activates muscle building at the level of both the brain and the body. We still look at, in today's video, we're going to break this down step by step. What sets really driving muscle loss in aging, and how it starts in the brain? The little-known nutrient deficiency that blocks neuromuscular regeneration, why conventional advice like eat more protein often backfires after 60. The surprising daily food that supports both nerve function and muscle protein synthesis. The exact timing and serving size that maximizes results. And how to combine it with one evening ritual that enhances overnight muscle repair. Stick with me to the end, because by the time we're done, you'll not only understand how to rebuild muscle more intelligently, but how to support the hormonal and neurological environment your body needs to thrive, even in your 60s, 70s, and beyond. Ready to get started? Let's dive into the science. If this is helpful so far, consider subscribing. I post videos like this every day to help you take control of your health, naturally. For years, we've been told that muscle loss is a mechanical, that it's all about disuse. If you don't use it, you lose it. And while that's partly true, it misses something deeper, something upstream. Your brain sends electrical signals down your spinal cord and through motor neurons. Think of these as power lines that activate your muscle fibers. When those signals are strong and consistent, the muscle stays healthy and engaged. But when those signals weaken due to age, stress, inflammation, or lack of key nutrients, the muscle starts to atrophy, not because it's lazy, but because it's no longer receiving the message to grow. Here sits what's really going on inside your body. What the research shows is that long before the muscle fibers shrink, there's a breakdown in communication between your brain and your muscles. This is called the neuromuscular disconnect, and it's one of the earliest drivers of sarcopenia. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. That's exactly what happens when the neuromuscular junction, the point where your nerve meets the muscle, begins to degrade. Think of your muscles like a factory. The workers are ready, the machinery is in place. But if the CEO, your brain, stops sending instructions, the whole operation slows down. Machines get dusty. Workers become idle. Eventually, production grinds to a halt. Most conventional advice focuses on the factory floor, protein, resistance training, amino acids. But if the brain isn't sending the signal, none of that matters. You're stocking a warehouse that's not even open. And this process accelerates after 60. Why? Because aging brains naturally produce fewer neurotransmitters, like acetylcholine, that are essential for firing these nerve-muscle connections. Add in high cortisol from stress, blood sugar spikes, poor sleep, and chronic inflammation, and the signals get weaker by the year. Now here sits the important part. So how do we fix this? We need to reestablish that signal, support the brain, reduce inflammation, rebuild the acetylcholine pathway. And that means feeding the nervous system what it actually needs, not just protein, but the nutrients that allow neurotransmitters to function. Now I'll show you the specific amino acid your body stops producing efficiently after 60, and the exact food that restores it, backed by neuroscience. But before we go there, if this is helpful so far, hit the like button and consider subscribing. I post science-based tools like this every day to help you take control of your health naturally. Here sips something most doctors won't tell you. Let us move on to the amino acid that reactivates your muscle-brain connection. Your ability to build muscle doesn't just depend on protein. It depends on your brain's ability to send precise electrical instructions to your muscles. And for that, there's one nutrient that's absolutely essential, but often overlooked. It's called choline. Choline is the building block of acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter responsible for muscle activation. Without enough choline, your brain signals to your muscles become fuzzy, or worse, don't fire at all. Your body can make small amounts of choline on its own, but not nearly enough after age 50. And research shows that up to 90% of older adults are deficient, especially those who avoid eggs, liver, or certain high choline foods. Now here, what estids critical to understand. Let me explain what this means using a whiteboard analogy. Imagine a symphony orchestra. The conductor is your brain. The instruments are your muscles. Choline is the sheet music. It carries the message from brain to muscle. Without enough choline, the conductor waves his baton, but the instruments can't play in harmony. The signal is garbled. Muscles twitch, fatigue sets in, and over time, the whole performance breaks down. This is what happens inside your neuromuscular junction when choline is low. And this affects far more than just movement. Muscle cramps or spasms, poor coordination and balance. Low choline levels have been linked to fatigue after light activity, even brain fog and memory decline. Now the good news, there is one food that's not only rich in bioavailable choline, but also contains other muscle-preserving compounds like leucine, omega-3 fats, and B vitamins that support mitochondrial energy. Yes, not the egg white, but the yolk. One large egg yolk provides about 125 milligrams of choline, along with phospholipids that help choline cross the blood-brain barrier more effectively. The food is the egg yolk. Studies now show that cholesterol from whole eggs does not increase heart disease risk in healthy individuals. In fact, the choline in egg yolks may reduce inflammation and improve HDL, your good cholesterol, especially in seniors. And yet, many people still avoid yolks because of outdated fears around cholesterol. Here sits the reality. So if you want to rebuild the brain-muscle connection, start by restoring choline through 1 to 2 pasture-raised egg yolks per day. Now we'll look at why just adding protein won't work if your insulin levels are blocking the repair process, and how to unlock muscle growth by fixing your metabolism first. Here sits what's really going on inside your body. Most people know insulin as the blood sugar hormone, but fewer realize that insulin also plays a critical role in muscle building. And when it's chronically elevated, it does the opposite. It prevents muscle repair. Insulin is a key that unlocks the door to your muscle cells, allowing nutrients in when you're healthy and insulin sensitive. The door opens easily. But if you've had years of high-carb diets, processed foods, or even chronic stress, that lock becomes rusty. Now the key doesn't fit. Nutrients can't get in, and your muscles can't repair, no matter how much protein you eat. Insulin is anabolic, meaning it promotes growth. In the right amounts, it helps shuttle amino acids into your muscle cells, triggering repair and growth after exercise or protein intake. But if you're insulin resistant, meaning your cells stop responding to insulin, that system starts to break down. Think of it like this. What the research shows is that insulin resistance actually blunts muscle protein synthesis, especially in older adults. And it's one of the main reasons people over 60 struggle to build or maintain muscle, even when they're eating enough. Many people who are insulin resistant don't even know it. They're not diabetic. Their fasting blood sugar may look normal. But behind the scenes, insulin is working overtime, staying high for hours after meals, leading to fatigue, inflammation, and muscle loss. Here sits the twist. So how do you fix this? And one of the fastest ways to do that is to time your meals properly. This is where intermittent fasting comes in. Step 1. Lower insulin, naturally. But here's the key. During your eating window, you need to fuel with foods that don't spike insulin. That means combining choline-rich eggs with healthy fats like avocado or olive oil, and skipping the toast, cereal, or juice. When you go 14 to 16 hours without food, for example, by finishing dinner at 6 p.m. and eating your first meal at 10 a.m., your insulin levels finally get a break. And when insulin drops, your body can start activating muscle repair again. If you're insulin sensitive, one egg meal can signal both your brain and your muscles to start the repair process. So if you're over 60 and trying to rebuild strength, fixing insulin resistance is non-negotiable. Otherwise, it's like trying to patch a roof while it's still raining. In the next section, I'll reveal the exact food that rebuilds muscle fast. Not just because of its protein content, but because it supports your neuromuscular health, balances insulin, and feeds your mitochondria all at once. If this added clarity, like the video, and consider subscribing, I break down science like this daily to help you optimize your metabolism and longevity naturally. Let's move into the core insight. The one food that rebuilds muscle fast, backed by neuroscience. So, what's the one food that rebuilds muscle fast, especially after 60, and is backed by neuroscience, nutritional biochemistry, and real-world results? It's pasture-raised egg yolks. Egg yolks are NatureSit's most complete neuromuscular food. They contain a synergistic blend of compounds that work at multiple levels. Choline, as we discussed, vital for acetylcholine production to keep brain-muscle communication sharp. Now, before you think that's too simple to be powerful, let's look at what's actually happening when you eat an egg yolk, especially in the right metabolic context. Leucine, a key amino acid that directly triggers mTOR, the cellular switch that activates muscle protein synthesis. Vitamin B12 and folate support the methylation cycle, which powers neurotransmitter production and energy metabolism. Phospholipids, like phosphatidylcholine, which protect nerve sheaths and improve the absorption of fat-soluble nutrients. Vitamin D, crucial for testosterone levels, mitochondrial health, and muscle contraction. Omega-3 fats, especially in pasture-raised eggs, reduce inflammation that blocks neuromuscular repair. This is what makes eggs unique. They don't just feed the muscle, they restore the environment that tells your body to prioritize muscle growth. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of your muscle-building machinery like a fire. Protein is the wood, necessary, yes, but without a spark, the fire won't start. Choline, leucine, and B12, they're the spark and the oxygen. They don't just provide raw materials, they activate the whole system. And here sits what neuroscience shows. Older adults who consume 2 to 3 eggs per day, especially with the yolks, experience higher rates of muscle protein synthesis, better strength retention, and fewer falls. One study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that egg-based meals outperformed plant-based meals for stimulating muscle repair in seniors due to both the amino acid profile and the choline content. Now, timing matters. The best time to eat eggs is within 1 hour of your first meal, after an overnight fast. This is when your insulin is lowest, your cells are most insulin sensitive, and your body is primed to absorb nutrients and activate M2R efficiently. Half avocado, healthy fats, plus potassium. Want to multiply the effects? Pair your eggs with avoid toast or juice at this meal. Anything that spikes insulin will shut down M2R and slow the muscle repair signal. A small handful of arugula or sautéed spinach, nitrate-rich greens support blood flow. A tablespoon of olive oil, anti-inflammatory, and supports fat-soluble absorption. Now we'll talk about how to maximize these benefits through strategic meal timing and an evening ritual that enhances overnight muscle recovery. This simple breakfast, 2 eggs, half avocado, greens, and olive oil, is a functional medicine protocol for rebuilding muscle, stabilizing blood sugar, and turning on your brain. By now, you know that pasture-raised egg yolks are a muscle rebuilding powerhouse, but how you eat them is just as important as the food itself. First, morning is prime time for muscle building, but only if your insulin is low. Let's break this down. Because muscle recovery doesn't happen randomly. It follows a clear physiological rhythm tied to insulin, cortisol, and your circadian repair window. 2 to 3 pasture-raised eggs, soft-boiled or gently scrambled in ghee or olive oil. That's why I recommend eating your eggs within 60 to 90 minutes of waking, after a 12 miters to 14-hour overnight fast. At this point, your insulin levels are at their lowest, your growth hormone is still elevated, and your cells are more insulin sensitive. This makes it the perfect window to trigger M2R, the master switch for muscle protein synthesis. So your muscle activating breakfast could look like this. Optional, a sprinkle of sea salt and turmeric for inflammation control. Greens like arugula or steamed spinach. Half avocado adds potassium, fiber, and healthy fats. This meal delivers high bioavailability, doesn't spike insulin, and supports both the nervous system and muscle tissue. Now let's talk about what happens at night, because this is when actual muscle repair occurs. Your body repairs itself during deep sleep, particularly in stages 3 and 4 of non-REM sleep. And for this to happen, 2 things must be in balance. Insulin must be low. Melatonin and growth hormone must be elevated. If you eat a large carb-heavy meal or snack late at night, insulin stays elevated, and your body prioritizes digestion, not regeneration. Your last meal should be at least 3 hours before bed. So here's what you do instead. Keep it light in protein plus fat dominant, such as a small bowl of bone broth with a soft-boiled egg or cottage cheese with olive oil. 6 o'clock to 6:30 p.m., light dinner with protein, fat, and greens. Consider adding glycine from collagen-rich foods, like gelatin or a scoop of collagen powder, to support deep sleep and muscle regeneration. Let me give you a simple protocol. 7 p.m., short walk, 10 to 15 mins to lower blood sugar. 9 p.m., wind down ritual, magnesium, blue light blockers, gentle stretching. 10 p.m. asleep to allow melatonin, testosterone, and growth hormone to peak. Why does this work? Because the deepest tissue repair happens between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. When growth hormone surges, if your insulin is low and you've consumed the right nutrients earlier in the day, your body now has everything it needs to rebuild muscle without stress, inflammation, or insulin resistance getting in the way. If this kind of functional strategy resonates with you, hit the like button and subscribe. I break down daily science-based rituals to help you rebuild from the inside out. Now we'll close the loop with some powerful lifestyle multipliers, simple habits that enhance everything we've talked about so far, especially when combined with this one daily food. Let's go through the most powerful ones. Food is the foundation, but if you want to rebuild muscle faster and keep it strong for the long haul, you need to pair it with a few simple lifestyle shifts. These are what I call multipliers, habits that don't take much time, but radically amplify your body's ability to recover, grow, and maintain lean muscle mass. 1. Daily walking, especially after meals. Muscle is a glucose sponge, but only when it's used regularly. Just 10 to 15 minutes of walking after meals improves insulin sensitivity, lowers post-meal blood sugar, and delivers amino acids and nutrients more efficiently to your muscles. It's low impact, doable at any age, and according to a 2022 study in Diabetologia, walking after meals reduced blood glucose levels by 17%, which directly supports muscle building by reducing inflammation and improving mTOR signaling. If your sleep is shallow, fragmented, or delayed, you're missing out on growth hormone spikes and muscle recovery. Magnesium, especially in forms like magnesium glycinate or magnesium threonate, calms the nervous system and helps initiate deep sleep. 2. Magnesium before bed. Take 200-400 milligrams about 30 minutes before bed. It also helps reduce nighttime cortisol, which can otherwise break down muscle tissue. 3. Zone 2 training. Most people over 60 are either sedentary or jump straight into resistance training, skipping the most beneficial cardio zone for longevity and mitochondrial health. Zone 2 is the heart rate range, where you can still hold a conversation but are working moderately. This trains your body to burn fat efficiently, supports muscle endurance, and improves mitochondrial function.